Let me start off with a quote. That's why they call it American Dream, because you got to be asleep to believe it. By George Carlin. You read the title of the video. You know it's a fact. For decades now, the capitalist system is just not doing really so hot. Inequality of wealth between populations, constant wars in the name of profit, and competitiveness up the wazoo. So to give you a quick definition, capitalism is an economic and political system in which property, business, and industry are controlled by private owners rather than by the state with the purpose of making profit. That's it. That's the problem. Profit. The end goal is profit, and mainly at any cost. That means state will gladly sacrifice human lives for it. And it doesn't end there on what it is willing to sacrifice. It will sacrifice communities and privatize them, such as healthcare, your money, or your life. Not to mention education and housing, which is giving birth to housing crisis right now, making these things that are needed to live inaccessible to many. Also, artificial scarcity. This system will gladly throw away food just so they can maximize their profits. They will make devices that will break in a limited lifespan, forcing you to buy a new one. This is called planned obsolescence, so they can skin more money from you, fueling wastefulness and climate change. This system will endlessly consume until there is nothing left, just for profit, like an eldritch horror from Lovecraftian novel. Plus, it divides the people into classes, giving birth to systemic oppression through things like racism and bigotry, in order to sustain cheap labor and maintaining the status quo. It lets things such as corporate monopolies do faster, undermines politics through lobbying in order to let the wealthy to control the entire nations. This monstrosity creates global inequality between nations through neocolonialism and exploitation of poorer nations. In the end, at its core, capitalism values profit over human dignity and health of the planet, making it inherently unsustainable. That should be enough for an argument, right? How's that for a point? Look, I get that it's exactly new for many, but it is a point that needs to be repeated. As I am typing this and reading this, US just decided to be at war again, which is like, what the hell is counting anymore? It blew so much money on it, it even caused a massive ecological catastrophe. Just awful. Next, I feel that US ain't exactly the most advanced nation anymore. It's more of a shithole now. Corruption way up, inequality wherever you look, and so on. Not to mention the rapid decline of it as a whole due to insustainability of the system, and that the majority of the Congress members are millionaires, and that orange fuck is a millionaire himself. So much for that draining the swamp. The common American is more exploited than ever, with its stagnant wage and still ever-growing price of, well, everything else. And you can see it in its population, its desperation to look its past glory of its nation to hold on to like some kind of belief. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Such as Manifest Destiny. The ones who criticize the nation, its government, and those who know the truth are labeled as un-American. I mean, for Pete's sake, they labeled Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. What else can I add? Not to mention the nation itself is run by cannibalistic pedophiles, very much a byproduct of capitalism. Many point to Ronnie Reggie as the one who solved the world. Sure, his policies had like solutions in long term, but in long run, the trickle-down economics don't fucking work. In order for them to work, you need people at the top to willingly give away their wealth. And yeah, just look who is in charge. To put it blunt, USA is in decline. The constant war on whether it chooses only costs money, and who loses the money are common folk. Well, the rich and the rich only reap the reward. From war on drugs to war on terror, USA government would rather spend money on warfare than the well-being and the future of its citizens. It is willing to drag down the rest of the world with it due to its declining economy. Look, what I'm trying to say here is clear. Capitalism outstayed its welcome a long time ago. It just benefits only the rich class, which is being fittingly nowadays labeled as the Epstein class for a good reason. We're in this mess because of backstabbing, sociopathic, low-time movie star, and it's gonna get way worse. There's only one way out of this. Me and you watching this know what it is. The Americans did it when they had no representation in the English parliament. The French did it to their nobility, and the Russians did it to the Romanovs. We all know it. I don't think I need to say anything else. I'm so exhausted by this system I live under, and I know you do as well. For this, I recommend a video by Hakim named Capitalism Really Sucks. But why? It repeats a bunch of points I already said, but it doesn't hurt to know anyway. Another one would be, we need to abolish the stock market by no way, no how, or username, but he made a lot of solid points. Wall Street is indeed just a big fat ugly casino, gambling away at a catastrophic rates. Now, another one would be How Reagan Ruined Everything by Leeja Miller, which talks briefly about that bastard's life and how it all came to be. Now, let me end this with a writing by Dr. Martin Luther King. I imagine you already know that I am much more socialistic in my economic theory than capitalistic, and yet I am not so opposed to capitalism that I have failed to see its relative merits. It started with a noble and high motive, which to block the trade monopolies of nobles. But like most human systems, it fell victim to the very thing it was revolting against. So today, capitalism has outlived its usefulness. It has brought about a system that takes necessities from the masses to give luxuries to the classes.